Hey guys, it's Mike and Josh. Yeah. Uh, it's been a while since I've done a vlog. November 10th, I think, was the last time I did one. So, welcome back. Josh and I actually just came back from seeing Non-Stop with Liam Neeson. And so,
I thought we saw Taken 3.
basically,
Okay.
yeah, basically, Taken 3, aka Non-Stop. Um,
Taken 3, non-stop.
Uh, so long as you're not taking nonstop.
Well, a certain breed of adult alternative fiction certainly writes itself in that case, doesn't it now? All right.
Anyway, basically we're gonna do a video review. Basic format, opening statement, discussion, closing statement. I did want to say, just as a heads up, we have not talked of anything about this. So I don't know if we're going to be like at each other's throats or if we are just going to be like, I liked it. I agree. And that's the shortest vlog ever.
Well, even if that was the case, we could still go on about Liam Neeson.
I mean, who can't go on about Liam Neeson? He's so dreamy. All right. Did you want to go first? Opening statements?
Opening statements. Liam Neeson briefly floats in midair and punches a guy. More happened at 11. But yeah, no, it was Liam Neeson being awesome on a plane, shooting people, punching people with a gun. I don't know. I just can't properly describe the variety that we really saw.
Liam Neeson punches people. The new movie.
Also, the text message effect was interesting. Like, it's just like, I'm going to have a floating text message. Oh, this phone is broken. So we can use the brokenness to bleep out the swear words. And I was like, well, that's actually well played.
I thought that was a nice touch, yeah. Not to be confused, of course, with Liam Neeson punches wolves. Because
I still haven't seen that.
Me neither.
Taken 4. Came out before Taken 3, but...
Taken 2.5?
He took 2.5 what?
Taken 33 and a third?
Now we're just getting ridiculous.
All right.
Clearly that was Revenge of the Titans. Which I also have not seen.
All right. I pretty much I'm on the same page. I mean, it was
Wait, which Taken does that make the Phantom Menace?
Taken .2. Anyway, I found that it was actually very well executed of a movie. Like the text messages, special effects like popping up in midair, having a broken screen. The broken screen carries through to the floating text messages as a way of voluntarily censoring it.
Which is weird, because I'm pretty sure that was a rated, like, I don't know, 18A. What was that even rated?
I don't know.
There was no boobies, so it may have been 14A.
But
there's British accents, bubbies.
There was a pretty hefty amount of violence, and I don't know. I think there were a couple lines where they could have sworn, but they didn't. So I don't actually remember how much profanity there was in it.
Actually, yeah. No. Now that you mention it, like, I don't know if there was swearing.
So, except for the censor texts, obviously. So,
it may have only been rated like 14A, because I think in those ones you're allowed like one F-bomb or one whatever. What does that make your blog rated before I drop?
Oh, there's no censoring on the vlog. It's just
dropping F-bombs like Donkey Kong.
Yep.
If Donkey Kong dropped F-bombs instead of barrels.
It's that just reminds me of XKCD, the guy dropping a bomb with a big F on it, saying shit. No, sorry, that's not XKCD. That's Cyanide and Happiness. Yeah, there we go.
I'm sure if we go through the cynics of the internet, we'll be right eventually.
All right. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's a pretty, you're pretty standard, action / thriller / suspense. Just a really good time.
How soon did you call the one villain, the white dude? Spoilers. One of the villains is white. The other one ain't.
Actually, that was one of the things I thought that the movie did very well. Right from the very beginning, they're obviously setting up people who you're supposed to be suspicious of. And sometimes, like, ham-handedly, blatantly so. one of the first shots in the movie.
I actually thought that was really interesting. I thought they were like, let's play on stereotypes. Like, these are
Yeah.
the people. If you were an air marshal at an airport, who would you be looking at?
Yeah, one of the first shots of the movie, as he's going through security at the airport before the plane actually takes off, he glances over his shoulder and sees, an Arabic or Islamic. I don't know exactly which. They never say which denomination, but obviously like Middle Eastern descent, person, and it just kind of lingers on him for a little bit before he keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
It
was weird too because he was looking at his serious people. There was the one guy who was like a DJ or something with his headphones and like big sunglasses, like boom, 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 boom. And then like the guy. Oh, by the way, the Middle Eastern looking gentleman turns out to be molecular. What was it? It was a doctor, but it was like
molecular physicist or neurologist or something like that.
I think it was molecular biologist.
Possibly.
Like, not strictly a doctor of medicine. Apparently he knew. He was like, it's induced anaphylactic shock. He's been poisoned.
Because all molecularologists know human anatomy very intimately.
Well, I mean, interaction with chemicals, I think that's something most of them have to cover. I'm sure basic anatomy is like, poison went in here somewhere, and that killed him.
Yeah, he was basically acting as a medical doctor, even though they explicitly say he's a doctor of something else other than medicine.
Yeah, I did find that a bit weird, and then I thought about it. I was like, molecular biology, we'll let it pass.
Yeah.
It's a movie. We'll suspend the disbelief.
Yeah, it's.
I keep forgetting which side I should be doing. We'll suspend the disbelief.
Yeah, it's leap of faith movie. He's a doctor. He's the person who can do this dramatic role, so we'll have him do it. Yeah, so they actually go through and like.
Oh, sorry, I forgot where I was going with all that. And then so they're showing like this. A white, greasy male, a couple of other like people who you. Let's be honest, if you were at an airport and you're looking around, you'd be like, "That guy's got the bomb." And then he looked at the little girl, and there was a brief moment where I was like, "The little girl's the terrorist. No one would see it coming." Which, to be fair, is true.
It's kind of like in Japanese.
No, seriously. Imagine at the very end of the movie, those two guys pull guns. They're pointing at each other. And it's like, you're the terrorist. No, you're the terrorist. Wait, neither of us are the terrorists. And then the little girl up in first class.
It's like in a lot of Japanese stories or movies or TV shows or things like that. Children are either 100% innocent or 100% evil. What was it? It was
Judi Dench kind of went back and forth there a few times. There's the one part where like we're casting all the suspicion on her.
Well, it's like what's his face? The guy who did Hero and House of Flying Daggers. I think the guy who used the Chinese director who uses like lots of color. In
those were the same guy. I love those movies. They're awesome.
It might not be House of Flying Daggers or House of 1,000 Daggers or something like that.
No,
anyway.
Wait, Crouching Tiger and Dragon.
No. That was Ang Lee. But basically, he said
House of 1,000 Daggers.
Yeah, I think it might be House of 1,000 Daggers. And he said that whenever like an old blind guy shows up in like a samurai or a ninja story or something like that, he is most likely the master because it's the person you don't expect. So it being the little girl, I think would be a bit more predictable. But anyway, where I was going with all of that, they go through all this painstaking effort to point out the people that you're supposed to be suspicious of. But mixed in with that, they're also building up people that you're supposed to trust, right? Like the person sitting next to him, who sits next to him on the plane.
How spoilerific are we getting here?
I'm not going out of my way to spoil it, and when I can use vague terms like this, I will. But
because I was just thinking, I was just like, there's a way I could describe this character, but you'd know immediately who the character is.
Yeah, but so basically, they're establishing these people who he's supposed to trust, or who you're supposed to trust, and who he trusts. Like the person who sat next to him, the one flight attendant, everything like that. And, the pilot, co-pilot. Earlier than I think the movie makers wanted me to, I started thinking, No, it's going to be one of the people that I'm supposed to be trusting, not one of the people. Well,
Which is what made it like
yeah,
that weird moment where you're like, it can't be Judi Dench.
but Judy Dench isn't in Nonstop,
Oh,
by the way.
what was her name?
I think it
It's
was Demi
bothering me.
Moore.
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore.
Was it?
I don't know. We'll have
Wait,
to
I
look
thought
it up.
Demi Moore has the dark hair.
It could be dyed. Hair can change colors.
I'm almost convinced Julie.
Or Julianne Moore, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Okay.
If only we had a convenient repository of human knowledge at our fingertips.
Michael Moore.
No, it was not Michael Moore. He's not a redhead.
We can go through any name and with Moore and yeah. Anyway,
and Demi Michael Moore, one of them. Okay,
you know, they establish her as somebody who he trusts and who you're supposed to trust, everything like that. Yeah, you know, I pretty quickly I was like, no, it's not one of these people that they're wanting me to suspect. It's more likely going to be somebody that they want me to trust. Which was actually what
that actress in another wasn't she in that movie with the airplane where it's like Flight something or other, Red Eye, I think it was the name of it.
possibly.
Was that her?
I don't know.
Okay, screw this. I'm gonna grab my phone. I need to look this up. This is bothering the crap out of me.
But anyway, which actually made the reveal of who it actually is rather pleasing because it wasn't somebody who I was suspecting. I'll admit I suspected the captain at first.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
who
doesn't have a villainous British accent. I never suspected.
Well,
him.
but like who better to be like the twist, right? Hey, you know, I'm one of your passengers. Somebody on this plane is going to die every 20 minutes. So, of course, he's looking at all the passengers, and he trusts the captain because he's supposed to be working with the captain and everything like that.
You know what's interesting? The parallel this movie had with the Lego movie, of all things.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't have drawn that. So, and don't spoil it, please.
Oh, I won't spoil the... No, you can tell right from watching the trailers. Once again, we have Liam Neeson playing good cop and bad cop, so...
Oh, it is Liam Neeson.
Although, with what he did fairly early on in the movie, he kind of had to.
Yeah, he's very an anti-hero. And watch your foot. You're shaking the camera.
Sorry. And more.
Or why don't you just IMDb nonstop, and then you can actually see who it is rather than like guess and check.
Do these things. No, it was definitely Julianne Moore.
Okay,
See,
cool.
we got it right there.
So Julianne Moore. So we got it right on the third try. I like their choice of who the villain ends up being because it wasn't the obvious choice.
Okay, the greasy white dude I knew from like the beginning, like his first scene. I'm like, that guy's one of the bad guys. There was that brief moment, not when he had the gun, but later on when they're all cooperating, and I was like, maybe the bad guy's not on the flight.
That thought also crossed my mind.
Because then he's controlling everything from a remote location. And
the call is coming from outside the plane.
Actually, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go that way. That was the one thing that kind of threw me. I was like, no, he's actually on the plane. But no, the other guy did not expect to see that coming at all. I was impressed.
Yeah, that was a nice red herring. Actually, it was more of a double red herring.
Well, he was the good guy. He was like, don't worry, I got this. And then he had it. And then everything went to shit. And it was awful for all involved, especially the guy who died horribly.
Yeah.
In a airplane galley.
Yeah.
He didn't even get that drink.
Oh, the gin and tonic?
In movie logic, that would have been the antivirus or poison or whatever. Wait, anti-venom is for venom. What the hell do you take to counteract poison? Anti-poison? No.
Antidote.
Ta-da! How did we not know this off the top of our heads? Oh, not firing on all cylinders. Okay.
So the other thing I will really actually comment, kind of building on that, is I really like the way they manage atmosphere in this movie. Actually, like the sound design is like, I knew from like frame where I picked up from frame one that I was really gonna like the soundtrack, and there isn't much of a soundtrack. Nothing that's very memorable, but like the very beginning bit where they're like showing like the company logos and the movie title and everything like that. It had a nice mood setting, underscore, and they actually kept that through the entire movie. I found it actually to be a very, very tense movie. Like they were very good at maintaining the tension and the suspicion and keeping the audience wound up.
Huh.
Oddly enough, the one thing that I found broke that excellent mood building was the events themselves. When when he's accusing the when he's accusing the guy, after some of the passengers think that he's the one hijacking the plane, and so they gang up on him and try and beat him up. And when
It doesn't go well. It's Liam Neeson. What the fuck do you think's gonna happen when you attack Liam Neeson?
but when he thinks it's that one guy, the third guy to die, not
No, the
yeah.
older gentleman, the guy in his 40s.
Yeah, the older gentleman, when he's like, I know it's you, I'm going to arrest you, and then the guy dies in his hands, right? It was a little hokey, right? Also a little bit like when the second person died, at the front is like, I don't like seeing my friend die beside me. It was
No shit. I mean,
and then to top it all off, on top of his friend dying right beside him, he then gets accused of being the murderer.
There's a lot of that in this movie. It's just like, you know what?
This lines up well for you to be the murderer.
I think it was you.
So the actual,
because an old lady told me so.
Yeah, the actual
and she doesn't have Alzheimer's. That's
actual,
an actual quote.
I think the quote is, and she doesn't have Alzheimer's, in case you were wondering. in Liam Neeson gravelly,
and she doesn't have Alzheimer's. No, that was more Christian Bale. I don't know.
That was a little bit of a cross between the two, but yeah. I think the actual events themselves, where something dramatic happens, like when the people die, the mood was less well set in those scenes than it was in between those scenes. Like in between those scenes, the tension was phenomenal, right? But then when those scenes, it gets a little hokey and sappy. The other thing, I also really liked the shots that took place outside of the plane. Which are very sparse, by the way. The filmmakers did an excellent job of keeping the environment very intimate. The camera almost never goes outside of the plane, right?
Actually, yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
except for the airport and the bits after.
Yeah, there's a bunch at the beginning and a bunch at the end, which is outside the plane, but for 80% of the middle, it's inside the plane. There's a transition or two where the camera swoops out of a plane window and then swoops into a different plane window.
True.
But that was really well done. And I think that was actually very, very clever on the filmmakers' part, because it allowed them to focus their their special effects resources on the few key scenes, rather than having to have a few excellent scenes rather than having a lot of okay scenes. And while I'm definitely not an expert on aeronautical physics, it looked like they took actual scientific, behaviors or
with the
properties of
pressure differential
pressure differentials, the actual strategy for how they deal with.
Oh, one of the key plot points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Honestly, my knowledge of airplane physics is you fold like this, and throw. That is my knowledge of airplane.
Is anybody really going to be surprised if I tell you a movie about a plane where somebody threatens to kill a passenger every 20 minutes has a bomb on the plane? Nobody's really going to be surprised when that.
Also, worst air marshal ever. Everyone, there's a bomb on this plane.
Well, yeah.
He had it for a while, and then it was just fuck it, they're going crazy anyway. There's a bomb.
Yeah.
You happy now?
He tried to hide
Back
it.
there.
He tried to hide
in
it
the pile of cocaine.
He tried to hide it for a while.
Also, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not the best person.
He tried to hide it for a while. He was bad at hiding it for a while. Eventually, he just kind of spills his guts. This is what I was meaning, like when it comes to like the atmosphere not being so good. I mean, he does kind of spill his guts. He says, you know, there's a bomb. I'm an alcoholic. Blah 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 blah. And everybody's just kind of like, okay.
Well, at least he was honest.
Yeah. Okay. We'll trust you now.
I know, it was like, that's it. If he had secretly turned out that the villain, like in his head at that point, these guys are fucking retarded. These guys are awful.
Yeah. Well. To be fair, the villain does say, "Do you know how easy this was?"
Oh, that was. Oh, I hated that.
Yeah.
It was so. I was just like, you plan this out years in advance, and you have the advantage of plot points. Like, everybody's like, oh, it was this. And I'm just like, yeah, but rewind, think about what he would have had to do, and how much he was just really freaking lucky to pull off what he did. And, yeah.
But, anyway.
It probably helped that everybody involved officially was probably corrupt as hell. Because, movies.
Well, they did, but yeah, regarding the bomb, basically the strategy... the fail-safe strategy, in case they can't disarm it, is basically put the bomb up against the rear door of the plane and pack everything you can, luggage, dinner tray trolley things that the stewardesses use, or put everything you can up against there to pad it, so that way the explosion will follow the path of least resistance and blow the door out. Of course, for that to work, they have to bring the plane down to a certain level so the pressure differential balances out. Which, like I said, obviously I'm not an expert, but it seems like a sound theory. Like, obviously it's a last case resort.
As far as movie physics goes, it sounded plausible enough to also suspend my disbelief.
Yeah.
Which is apparently a verified thing. So what?
And they do kind of give a little acknowledgement to that. One of the passengers asks him, "This has worked in the past, right?" He says, "It's never been tried before."
No, but okay, my answer was like, he kind of looks at the guys like, yeah, remember all that time on the news you heard about it? I was just going to say, I thought the sound design was great because I walked out of the theater going, wait a minute, I didn't notice the sound design. It was really good. Well played, Mr. Sound Designer. I didn't see what you did there. You're like an illusionist with sound.
Oh, right, yes. The motivation of the main villain, why they're doing it, they kind of go into a little bit of an exposition dump at the end, like at the climax. It's just like, why are you doing this? Well, let me monologue and tell you, because I've got you at gunpoint, and the bomb's about to go off, and blah 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 blah.
To be fair, if I was about to kill all these people and most likely die myself, there's a part of me that would kind of want them to know why. Just be like, this is how brilliant I am. I'm dying. Wait, shit, this was not well planned out.
To be fair, my issue was not the fact that he was monologuing. It was the actual motivation himself, why he was doing that.
It was just really confusing.
Well, because, I mean, what he says is, this doesn't spoil anything. There's nothing... My problem with it is that there's no indication of it or no hints to it up until that point, where it's just kind of like, oh, by the way, my motivation is this. Where what it is that day in the past, quote unquote, where apparently 3,000 people died. It's implied that people died due to an ineptitude or incompetence or corruption of security. Well, but see,
all these changes they were making weren't really doing anything.
But see, that's what he was getting at, right? Basically, he says it was, for whatever reason, security failed and people died. So he went and took action, like he was rallied and I think they might have been referencing 9/11, possibly. Um, like
Possibly.
like 3,000 people dying is I think around about the amount of people that died in the
Yeah.
yeah. But
I'd have to Wikipedia the official total.
yeah.
But
Anyway, this guy, he's motivated by this unnamed event, which may or may not be 9/11, to go out and try and make the world a better place. He, goes, he tries this, blah 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 blah. He comes back and he finds that security is making the same mistakes, that nothing has happened, and so he loses faith in the security that the nation, being the United States, provides, and he wants to try and it's he's kind of got a martyr
there's
complex.
one line though that did kind of make him a little bit not so much sympathetic because he was still kind of an evil git, but where he talks about he's like, yeah, and then I enlisted, I signed up, and I ended up fighting in a war I still don't understand, and I'm kind of looking at that, I'm like, but you came up with all this.
Yeah, and he says his father died on this unnamed event from way back. So basically, he's given up or he's lost confidence in his nation's administration to actually provide security, and he wants to pull this off because he says words mean nothing unless you write them on the 10 o'clock news in blood, right? So he wants to do this to try and actually change the world to help basically force administration to make the security better. It's a little bit self-sacrificing martyrdom. The problem is it just kind of came slap out of nowhere, right? Um,
Oh, speaking of slap out of nowhere, okay, sorry, random thought. What happened to all the bodies?
uh,
Like, they're stacking stuff against it, it's like, alright, the captain's body will fit right there.
well,
How awkward would that have been? And I mean, like, I think all the times too where, like, the plane's like, I'm gonna go for a sudden fly this way! Oh! Like, there would have literally been, like, at some point,
well,
one body would have flown out of a lavatory.
well, it was locked in the lavatory, so it would have flown around in the lavatory.
It's a heavy body, it's a thin door!
I don't know. Those doors are fairly secure. I mean, I do see your point.
Those lavatories are so secure, there's no way to shoot the captain without a poison-tipped blow dart made from a couple of pens.
Anyway, so the reasoning, like the motivation of the main villain, just kind of comes out of nowhere, and I think the reason I feel that way is because they explicitly don't say what the event was. If they're referring to 9/11, it makes sense, but they should have and
I thought they were pretty clear about it, though.
well, I mean, it could because
because it's movie verse, it could have been a movie world. Okay,
yeah,
I get that.
it could have been it could be any number of things, right? Like if it had been an event and then have like Liam Neeson's character just a couple times in the lead up to the movie mention a previous failing where he failed to protect, then boom, all the groundwork you need is laid, right, to have that reveal. Or
I think his character had enough failings in this movie.
True, but
Poor guy.
But the fact is, like,
Not
this.
Liam Neeson, his character. Like, his character was like, you're like, there's this monologue sort of near the end where you're like, that guy's life sucks.
Yeah.
But he's an air marshal, so I guess he's got that going for him.
Yeah, this event, which motivates the main villain to do his thing, is not. It just kind of comes up out of nowhere, and they don't say what it is. And if they'd laid some sort of groundwork or foundation in advance, mentioning what the event was, or indicating that there was an event, even if they don't tell us what it is, then I think that would have been less jarring, because as it was just like, oh, by the way, there's this event and it was terrible and that's why I'm doing all these terrible things, but you didn't know that, so.
The one thing that kind of threw me, the doctor guy, he's that one where he's like, if they're not planning on getting off this plane, why haven't they just blown us all up already? Like, that kind of had me going, that's a damn good question, and we never got an answer to it.
No, we did, because they were waiting for the plane to go down to the level where the air pressure equalizes before they would make their escape.
Okay, well, the one guy believed that. The other guy was like, Do you really think we're gonna go out of this?
You're
a martyr for the cause, Benny!
Well, I think that was like their plan A, right? They'll discover the bomb. They'll go through bomb, standard bomb procedure where they go down to where the pressure's equal, and then we'll jump out of the plane with the parachutes that we pulled out of nowhere.
Our ass. You can
and
smuggle anything past the TSA.
Because like they do point out, if they were to jump out of the plane when it's at cruising altitude, like they'd die within a few seconds, right? Because
why is that?
Air pressure, temperature, right? It's cold up there, right?
Red Bull threw a guy out of a thing from space.
He was wearing a spacesuit.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily. Well,
I will suspend my disbelief.
A Red Bull spacesuit
for reality.
They were planning on going out like.
Wait, I'm sorry, it was a spacesuit made of Red Bull?
a
Red Bull gives you wings and armor!
A Red Bull brand spacesuit.
I'm not sure that's better.
But basically, he had a protective outfit to protect him from the lack of oxygen, the extreme cold temperatures, everything like that. They were planning on jumping out in their street clothes, right?
They were fucking stupid. Oh my god, bleed me out.
So basically, if they jump out at 30,000 feet or whatever it is, the extreme cold, the lack of air, everything like that, like they wouldn't last very long. Whereas if they discover the bomb, they drop the plane down to a level where the air pressure is more equalized, then they jump out. It is safer for them. So I think their plan A was they'll discover the bomb, they'll go down to this level, then we'll jump out and make our escape while the plane blows up, above us. But when that plan is kiboshed, the guy
gravity.
The guy
stand here monologuing, totally not notice you winding your arm through the seatbelt for no particular reason. It's like your little ribbon thing. Maybe they're related somewhere.
The main villain, I think, because he was fanatical about the cause, right? Like if he can survive and pull it off again later.
Oh, right? Missed opportunity. Right before they were about to die, if he could have looked at him, it's like, I guess those tendons are really tying you down.
Yeah. Sorry.
Or if he had said that to Liam Neeson, it's like, you're a fearful fanatical obsession with law, order. It's tying you down. Yeah. Good thing too.
But basically, he cared more about completing his objective than surviving. Like plan A, complete the objective but survive to be able to do it again. If that's not possible, do the objective more than anything else.
He seemed like enough of a dick to have planned to never have survived and just lied to his partner.
Yeah, but the fact
which is weird because his partner, like, kind of seemed a little bit brilliant in his own ways. Like, does the thing he does, makes a bomb.
Except for when he reaches for the phone and gets shot. Like, that was just like, really? What did you expect to happen?
Yeah. He's my buddy. He wouldn't shoot me. Ever.
Anyway.
He's totally sane. It's not like he'd hold a plane of 150 people hostage or something.
So
only a crazy person would do that.
So,
it was weird. He would it's like when you see characters who, up to that point, are cool, calm, collected, extremely intelligent. Extreme lapse of judgment. I don't know, it's like the Kool-Aid Man burst through a wall and, oh shit, that one was asbestos. And this is a children's party. I could have planned this better. Oh no!
Well, on that note, I think we will call it a wrap there. My closing statements...
Like the wrap around his arm.
Closing statements are... yeah, I mean, it's got some leaps of faith where you suspend your disbelief, but overall it's a well-made, well-executed, fun action thriller. I would give it probably a 7 or 8 out of 10.
I agree. I was quite taken with this film, and I give it 2 Liam Neesons. Because 1 Liam Neeson is awesome. 2 Liam Neesons is awesome.
Out of how many Liam Neesons?
There's a limit. I just assume like the
So-
more awesome a movie, the more Liam Neeson's you just throw at it.
So on a scale of 0 to infinity, Josh gives it a 2.
No, that sounds awful. No, I'm giving it a positive number, not a negative number. I'm saying it contributes to good things, not that it's like watching this movie was like tearing off a piece of my soul, feeding it to a puppy, and then shooting the puppy
I've watched
with a
that
blow
movie.
dart through a hole. I'm sorry, what movie was that?
A movie that tried to be like an action thriller but was just bad was I can't even remember, Buried or something like that. It's the one where the guy's like buried in the coffin under the Middle Eastern desert, and he has a BlackBerry that somehow still has signal and battery. And anyway, see you next time.